You're listening to a Soul One podcast.
And we're back. How have you been, Taylor?
Good. I did have one person ask me if you had died,
Oh,
and I said, nope, just technical difficulties, but thank you for the concern. So, even if you hate our fans, they love you, Mike. So,
yeah, very much alive, and I intend to stay that way. So yeah, we'll we're back. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully, the technical issues have solved themselves.
and hopefully I remember what show I'm recording for, because you told
Yeah,
me that I did not say the right name last week.
in in a quick 2-minute period, you said both names. So you opened by saying hi, screening in Kingston fans, and then dove into it, and then within like a few minutes said something about so you had me at skip it, like, or you had me at skip it, like you said something like that.
Well, I'm gonna say that was intentional, not a mistake, because I was just saying hello to our old fans.
Maybe, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was.
Mhm.
Yeah, so maybe everything's totally fine. And it was just and it
No
was
big deal. I was
no
doing
big
a
deal.
shout out to
That's right.
both our new and old fans within the
That's right.
course of the 2-minute intro. So there you go.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what
um
did you think of our guest correspondent?
oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
What a great review. I think that at the end of the day, we're going to eventually be replaced.
Yep.
And it's good that you're basically,
Grooming
helping
him.
to groom our new replacement. Yeah, yeah, very
Talk
fantastic.
about Nepo baby.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll
Nepo baby. Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
and she will surpass both of us and hopefully win some sort of award for his reviews. But anyways, yes. I think given the circumstances, myself and our special correspondent, we did okay.
Oh, I agree. I definitely think you did a great job. And
So
I also,
go listen to that 15-minute episode
yeah,
if you
and I
haven't already.
also think like a more thorough review that I can give for many things. Like there's many things where I'm like, I don't even know if I would talk about the relationship of Donkey, Fiona, and Shrek being best friends. Like that's just not something that I would necessarily have to do that. Like
Yeah.
all three of them are best friends. I always kind of
Mhm.
saw Donkey as just kind of being there.
Yeah, no, they're all equally in a relationship. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful thing.
yeah, it
And
is.
yeah, I think his attraction to the robbers, which interestingly,
Yes.
for which all kidding aside, I think he's confusing the robbers with the knights.
Are the
But
robbers, you mean like Robin Hood and his
yeah,
gang, like
okay,
that
they're
group?
there, but it was when the knights came on and he was like, robbers. And then they left, I think they get eaten by the dragon.
Something
And
banging.
he was so emotionally overwhelmed that he didn't get to see the quote unquote robbers again. So I'm like,
Mm,
are we talking about the same thing, kid?
yeah,
But anyways,
yeah.
and so that's what he sometimes, well, now he plays robbers. But I think he means knights, but I also am not sure because the
Mm.
movie has both things in it. So
It
who
does.
knows?
So that's hard to tell. Because I mean, I do think the Robin Hood gang is a
They're
great part of
fun.
that movie. They're
Yeah.
fun. They've got some good humor in there. Robin Hood's kind of silly, so that
We're
that
talking
that
about
kind of makes
Shrek,
sense.
by the way. If people didn't listen to last week's, we're talking about Shrek.
They
Shrek
must know we're
first.
talking about Shrek,
I would hope.
the
But
first Shrek movie. Yeah, there's been many of those.
and I think they are coming out with a new one.
Yes. So there's been 4, and there's a 5th
That
pending.
that sounds about
Does that
right. And
sound?
there
Does that
was some
sound?
controversy over the CGI for the new one because the CGI technology has changed since the first 4, or I don't want to say it's improved, because in some ways it's improved, in some ways it's gotten worse. Like I think CGI special effects look absolutely atrocious. But in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like CGI, like if you compare the first Toy Story movie, for instance,
Yeah.
to like a CGI movie or a 3D animated movie that comes out now, like night and day. So I think people have like put a still of the original Shrek next to like the new Shrek, and they're like, how could they do this to Shrek? And I'm like, it's
It's
different because the technology is better. It's
it's
not a
yeah,
bad it's not like a Sonic situation.
no, and it's a difficult I think it's difficult because the technology is of course going to advance. So what else are you going to do
Yeah, like
but
can you
you
make it
know,
look worse? I don't know.
I guess you technically, I think from what they're saying is that anyone complaining about it is like, well, we want just go back and do it the way you used to, right? Like as opposed to now, like you technically could do that. Like there shouldn't be a problem with that kind of progression of okay, we're at this point, so you can obviously make it look older because they've done movies that are CGI that look hand drawn. Like they've
Yeah.
done that, but I just think when the
I guess it's
technology
just
advances, I think that's more work too to kind of do that.
it has like better, I would say like the biggest difference. To me, Shrek looks the same. There's just more detail. And it's like, so what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
which
People are always going to gripe.
there's always going to be a gripe about something. I agree, but yeah,
But
I
the controversy, sorry, Mike, about Sonic was founded. Like the original Sonic looked heinous. And then enough people complained they had to like completely
yeah.
reanimate Sonic.
Mhm.
That was fair. Like if you looked at the original, like if you compare cartoon Sonic to first version to final, what ended up in the movie, makes sense. The controversy or the critiques of Shrek 5, I don't see it. I don't understand.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and I definitely think that I mean at the end of the day, things are going to change over time, and your first movie and your last one are going to look like you bring up the Toy Story one is like a really good example. The first one and the most recent one they did, there's improvements that you're making over time, right? You're going to
Sure.
change it, and also I think people forget that the first trailer that comes out for any animated movie, like it still has rendering to go through. It still has work to be done on it. It's not finalized. You will see changes and edits and different things that will improve the look in certain ways. So yeah, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to kind of have that necessary attitude towards it because the
I
technology just got better.
Like I don't think I ever watched past the second. I think I saw Shrek 1 and Shrek 2. I don't know if I saw the third one, and I definitely didn't see the fourth one.
If I remember correctly, the third one is where he has to go get the prince who is Justin Timberlake.
Right.
Like I think that that's
The villain in the second movie.
no. There's like a that so that prince guy's still around, but he has to go get like who would be King Arthur because the father dies at the
Mm.
beginning and Shrek doesn't want to be king, so he goes to get the kid Arthur who would become King Arthur to try to
Yeah,
make him
definitely
go
did
there.
not see that
Yeah,
one.
like I think the third one because if I remember correctly, the fourth one is better than the third one because
Yeah,
that's the
okay.
Rumpelstiltskin one. So the third one
Right.
is kind of like I don't know what they were going for here,
Like
but they
skip
kind
it.
of they kind of landed it again back on the fourth one where it like had a time travel element to it and was really interesting. So yeah, that's kind of what they did. But yeah,
And
they're making a fifth one, which I didn't think they'd ever go back to this
the
series.
kids
I
are
really didn't.
grown up, or I would say like grown up ish. I don't think they're adults per se,
Right,
maybe
teens.
teens. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes sense. Progress things forward, but that's the age we're in. We're getting all the old shows back
I
and
know.
all the different things happening, and we've run out of ideas.
What are you gonna do? I ran into someone at church and she said that her toddler likes the original Hobbit or like the original Lord of the Rings from the 70s.
Oh yeah,
That like weird animated one. So it's like
yes, the
we don't I don't think we need new content. Let's just go
no,
back to the 1970s weird version of Lord of the Rings where the hobbits look
mm-hmm.
crazy.
Crazy that cartoon creeped me out. Um, well, speaking of new things, we've got three movies that we're talking about today. You've
Mhm.
got two movies to review, and I've
Yep.
got one. And the hat, as promised, the hat is here. Movies
The
from a hat.
Duke cuz we're
We
Canadian.
we will make our draw today for the movies that we will review next week. So basically, just to remind people how this worked, is back in our screening in Kingston days in the pandemic, we had people submit movies to us to put in a hat. And the idea is we randomly draw it. Neither Taylor nor I know what's going to come out of this hat. We pick 2 movies, and our job is not only to watch and review those movies next week, but to try to find comparisons between them, comparables, ways to kind of
God, let's
contrast
hope
and talk
these
about
movies
them.
are under 2 hours each.
Yeah, I mean that's it's a these days it's
Otherwise,
a lot, but
you're gonna have to redraw. But
I
we'll
don't remember what's in here. Like I this is all left over from the many submissions we
or
got during the pandemic. So
don't redraw. We'll just give like a reviews of half movies. We'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, we watched
Yeah.
the first half of this and the second half of that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that too. We've got that here to go. We've got movies to review. Completely new episode. Lots to talk about. The lesson I learned this week is don't watch a sequel that you have not seen the original for a very long time and only saw it once. Because then you'll be very confused. That's the lesson.
At
I
least
learned
you
this week.
watched the first one. I've gone into the movies where I've watched like the third movie of a trilogy, not having seen the first 2.
Why?
Because it was the only thing playing in the
Oh,
theaters.
okay.
This
No,
is
you
like
didn't-
pre-pandemic. You know what I mean?
You didn't pull a My Parents where you did that by accident.
Yeah, they truly did not know. No, I saw the third Batman movie with the third Christopher Nolan Batman movie, not having seen the first 2. I guess that movie, I knew enough about Batman. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? But I did not know any of the beats, any of the story beats from the first 2. And I think I watched maybe the first or the second part of the final Twilight movie without having seen like the middle movies. But again, like I read the books.
Yeah, but you went into that consciously knowing this is
Yes.
what you're doing.
No, it wasn't like your parents being like, this movie was amazing. And then you being like,
yeah, the
didn't
people
you see the first one?
who sit down and watch It Chapter 2.
Yeah, and they loved it, didn't
and
they?
they believe that it's the first movie. Oh yeah.
Chapter 2. Amazing.
Chapter 2. Or Jumanji, The Next Level.
It's in the name though. That's what
name.
I love.
Chapter 2. Next. Meaning there was a previous. Meaning there was a chapter 1.
Could you like I just wish I could inhabit your parents' brains to think like It Chapter 2. What interesting marketing. Like
Yeah,
what an interesting name.
It's a scary place. I don't know what could possibly
I
prompt
love
you to
that.
think that that's fine. Yeah, but so I've got The Accountant 2. That's what I'll be reviewing today. And then Taylor, you've got 2 movies, including I didn't even know this, a new Wes Anderson movie that I didn't know he had a new movie. Like,
You must have known.
Didn't hear about it.
You must have known because at one point, I think when we were chatting about our most anticipated movies, I had mentioned the new Wes Anderson movie.
Okay.
So
then I forgot about it.
You forgot. Yeah, not memorable. So not only our listeners are in for a real treat. Not only do I have 2 movies to review, one of them I went to the theaters for.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
What a rare feat.
Yeah, I go to the movies quarterly. Yeah. Technically, I was overdue because the last movie I saw like Boxing Day. So I was doing the math. I should have seen a movie last month if I truly go quarterly. But yeah, more or less, give or take a couple months, I see 4 movies in theaters a year.
All right. Well, the question is, and I think you and I got to decide this on the fly.
Okay.
Do we review our movies first, or do we pull the hat first?
I think we review the movies and then we end the anticipation builds, mine, yours, and the listeners, and then we reveal because otherwise people are going to just shut the episode off.
Perfect. You're right. You have no reason. Why stick around for the movie reviews?
Exactly. So, yeah.
All right. Well, then why don't we dive into some movies? Seeing as you have 2, Taylor, why don't we bookend the reviews with yours? So why don't you go first?
I'll start with the movie that I was supposed to review last week before you rudely interrupted my plans because of your technical difficulties. I watched The Luckiest Man in America, which this is one of those weird, I know you're a purist, Mike, so you probably won't agree with this. This movie, I think, premiered at a film festival, possibly TIFF, in 2024, like the film festival circuit of 2024, but it's only now being released. So when you go on the Wikipedia page, or when you're researching this movie, sometimes you'll see 2024 and sometimes you'll see 2025. So
Interesting.
that's my first question for you. If the movie, see, I feel like this is my hot take, correct me if I'm wrong. It airs at a screening, a film festival. The idea of the film festival is for it to get picked up by distribution to be then released, quote unquote. So even if the movie was made in 2024 and it had its debut at a film festival, the year it's distribution, like the year that it's like in theaters widely, that's the year the movie came out.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that I think for me it's always about when the movie comes out in wide release.
Yeah,
Film
so it's a
festivals.
2025 movie.
That's right. If it debuted at the film festival the year before, it doesn't matter. It's the year it comes out, and I do think that's important, and I think that that's the whole point you just pointed out. That's the entire point of a film festival, to get your movie picked up. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. I think you definitely have a 2025 movie that you're
So Wikipedia lists release dates September 5th, TIFF, don't count that. And then April 4th, 2025, United States. That to me is the release date.
Right.
But whatever.
Right.
So this movie is it's I would describe it as an indie movie. It had quite a small budget, if my understanding is right. It's an IFC movie. It's directed and co-written by Samir Olivioris. I'm not familiar. And it stars Paul Walter Hauser. He's one of these actors, Mike, where his face instantly recognizable, could not tell you his name or what he's in. But I'll list some of his credits. I feel like he's more of a comedic actor. Oh my goodness, it's so funny because they're listing things and I'm like, this is not what I recognize him from. And yet, there we go. Okay, so film. He's in I, Tonya, Super Troopers 2, Late Night. See, like, these are all really weird. And yet his face to me is so recognizable. I wonder if I'm confusing him with a different actor. Or maybe he acts more in...
else that you're thinking of?
Maybe he acts more in... Okay, he was in... let's see his TV. He was in The Unbreakable. Oh, his most notable role, Mike, is Cobra Kai. He plays Raymond Stingray Porter.
Okay.
The TV show. Reno 911. I guess I just must be thinking of him. You know what I know him from? Oh my gosh. I Think You Should Leave Now.
Oh, is he like
he's just
like
one
reoccurring guy, or
he's one episode. It's the sketch where his wife supports him to join a community theater cast, but the guy keeps stealing his lines while they're performing.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
He was this like ultra famous. Clearly, that skit had an oversized impact on
big impact on you.
Huge.
You thought to launch this guy's career.
Yeah, I thought this guy was like a super famous. I think I might have been confusing him with the guy from Friday Night Lights.
Oh, okay.
Who he was a bigger guy and then lost a lot of weight.
Yes, that guy. Yeah.
Anyways, that's so funny. I'm looking at this guy's credits, being like, he's got to be in other stuff. I Think You Should Leave Now. Okay, that makes sense. So, anyways, sorry for that little
No, it was a good journey. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
You definitely.
Okay, so I'm doing a horrible job of describing this movie. I'm like, I think it's an indie movie, a director I don't know, this actor who I think is famous, and turns out not really. And interestingly, there's another I Think You Should Leave Now person who is a recurring cast member, and she's also in this movie, but she's a small role. Johnny Knoxville weirdly makes a cameo, and the guy who's having a moment. He has like a very long name. Walter Goggins.
Walter Goggins?
Yep.
Is that what you're talking about?
I
yeah,
think so.
He's a great actor. Very
he's having a
intense
moment.
actor, yeah.
Yeah. So he plays the game show host. So essentially this movie is based on a true story about this he's kind of a con man, and I think in real life that's like an accurate way to describe him, but essentially this con man who um figures out how to game a game show. And so the movie is about how he got on the show, the course of like how that played out, and then a teeny tiny bit of the aftermath. So it's a tight 90 minutes. um the guy who I thought was more famous than he actually is, he plays the contestant, and then there's the game show host, and Johnny Knoxville has this cameo of being like another TV host that he like kind of drops in on, but it's like a self-contained kind of like scene. You
Mm-hmm.
don't see Johnny Knoxville afterwards. Small cast. There is there's a couple other recognizable faces. Like I think there's one actor who might have been on Stranger Things. He plays the exec, the TV exec. So there's kind of like the main action of the show is happening like on the soundstage where the show's being taped. And then you also spend time with the network executives who are essentially trying to like contain or figure out what's happening, because this guy seems to be winning like more money than the network can put out essentially, but they can't intervene, like they can't tamper with the game. So they're trying to figure out like how do we essentially like figure out A, what's going on, and then B, can we sabotage him so we don't have to pay him all this money that he's winning. So it is, I would describe it as kind of like a comedy drama, like more heavy. It's more heavy on the drama, and like the comedy is more like absurd. Like, how is this weird con man? How is he doing what he's doing? And then the comedy really comes from the network executives trying to like figure out like what are we going to do with this guy. Um I thought the movie was for it's Mike, we say this all the time on this show, or at least I do. It's very rare these days that you watch an original story that isn't a sequel or a reboot or a revamp or like whatever, right? Like the fifth movie's in a franchise, or this is the second reboot since the 80s. So it's refreshing to watch these small, more contained, independent movies. At least it's nice for me. It's a nice palate cleanser to be able to drop into a story, not spend like a super long amount of time, and be entertained. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I think the writing was tight. I thought the story was quite interesting. Um, the scene with Johnny Knoxville, like I think I think it kind of felt a little meandering. Like I think it could have done without that scene, but I understood what they were trying to do. They were trying to kind of look more at the guy's psyche. I guess my question you what is so it, we I talked about this last episode that you weren't on, Mike, my little short episode about the fan who asks what questions should I ask in order to give a good review of a movie, essentially, or
Yeah.
like go
Yeah.
deeper in my movie going experience. And so I spoke a little bit about how like tonally, like is the movie consistent? Is all of the parts of the movie working towards the stated goal of the movie? Okay. So this movie was very much like you're watching almost like a true crime documentary, in the sense that like you see something happening in real time, and then like a group of people are kind of trying to like deconstruct the thing that's happening in order to like stop it, right? And so I would say that the majority of the movie, all of the movie, is happening in reality in real time. Like there isn't any sort of surreal aspects of the movie. Like you're just watching these kind of absurd, crazy things unfold in front of you, and you're kind of just along for the ride. There's this scene where he's on a soundstage, right? Oh, and interesting, Maisie Williams has a cameo in this movie.
Really?
She's like the little like production assistant. So it's a weird, it's kind of like a weird little, you're like, oh, I know that person, or I recognize that person. Okay. So the movie takes place on a soundstage. For people who don't know, when you're on a soundstage, multiple things might be filming at the same time. Like multiple TV shows or multiple movies might live on a soundstage or a set. I guess a studio. there's multiple sound stages on a studio. Is that a good way to describe it, Mike?
Yes, there would be at least 2 or 3 sound
Yeah.
stages on a studio.
And I
Yeah.
think this is like NBC. Like this is supposed to, because it's a
So
real
multiple.
story.
Yeah.
And it takes place, I want to say the late 70s, could be the early 80s, but it's at a time where like network TV is at its height. And so he's filming the TV show, the game show. He runs out onto like the parking lot, and then he runs back into the soundstage, and he ends up getting interviewed by Johnny Knoxville's character, who is like a talk show host for a talk show that also lives in that studio, or that network studio.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I couldn't tell. So like part of the movie is they're trying to the network is trying to sabotage him or find a way to like shake him up so that he ends up losing. And so I couldn't figure out while watching this movie, Mike, if this was projected in his head, like, you know, this is a moment, they're using this as a device to like show his inner turmoil. If it was a setup, like the network was doing on purpose to shake him up, or if he accidentally stumbled on this taping and the talk show host just like decided to interview him. And so like that's the one part of the movie where I was like, did I miss something? Like it felt out of place. Like it didn't quite make sense, because like nowhere else in the movie do we deal with like you're getting, you know, you're getting insight into his psychology from other characters, but at no point does he like disassociate like during the movie. And again, Johnny Knoxville's character doesn't reappear. They don't make mention. I think they might offhandedly be like, and this is another show that tapes here. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, it was weird. I didn't quite get what they were trying to achieve. So that's the one part of the movie where I was like, I don't know, it didn't really work for me.
Yeah.
All that to be said, it's, to me, this movie, and Mike, you're going to hate me for this because I'm going to give a caveat. This to me is a see it.
Okay.
Not because it's like the most phenomenal movie of the year. This is, you know, like I don't think it's going to win awards. It's a see it for me because it is so rare in 2025 to find a nice indie self-contained movie with an original script that for 90 minutes you're just like, yeah, that's a good story. Like it's definitely more than an airplane it, and it's more than a stream it, because like it's pretty rare to find these kind of stories that are well told, well acted, kind of funny. So it's, when we do the year in the review, it'll be interesting to see. We talk about that sometimes, how in the end sometimes we might shift movies, or we might, you know, it was a see it but now we think it's a whatever, right?
That does happen. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if at the end of the year I still feel the same way. But as it stands right now, The Luckiest Man in America, it's a see it.
Okay. Wow. So before we move on here, we got to put a pause in our reviews here.
Okay.
I don't have breaking news, but it's news to me. They have released a trailer for a new The Naked Gun movie.
Yeah, with Pamela Anderson
and Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
And the guy who you mentioned, because that's how I found it. I clicked on him from he's in it.
The guy in my movie?
Paul Walter. Yeah.
Good for him.
He's in this movie. Yeah, I got to watch this trailer after we record this, because I'm very curious. Because, of course, The Naked Gun, I think, you know, it's a absolutely hilarious movie series from the late great Leslie Nielsen.
It does feel like that cast, and I saw the poster for it today, Mike. I don't know if it was like the first poster or what, but it does kind of feel like an AI generated.
It does. It looks fake. It looked fake. But upon research, it's real. Not, and it's coming out August 1st in Canada. So
yeah, it's real.
I'm going to check out this trailer after. I suggest everyone else does as well.
You know what? That makes a little bit more sense to me, because name the lead actor again. It's Pamela Anderson and who?
Liam Neeson.
So I think Liam Neeson went on record saying like, "Oh, I have a crush on Pamela Anderson," and that made the news like in the wintertime. Essentially,
Oh,
I think
really?
he wanted to like maybe date her. I don't know, but it was romantically they were connected. And I'm like, that kind of seems odd. Like they don't seem to like really they don't seem to be in the same orbit in terms of like how we typically think of Hollywood or whatever. Now, well, they were in a movie together.
Yeah.
That makes tons of sense. Whether or not he actually said those things, you know what I mean? Like you don't actually know because of the tabloids. But I'm like, oh, now in the context of the fact that they starred in a movie together.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
I will. Did you watch her when she was on Baywatch?
I don't
Because you're a
remember
child
ever
of the '90s.
watching. Yeah, I don't remember ever watching Baywatch. I definitely was like aware of its existence, but I don't honestly remember watching Baywatch. Like I more knew of Pamela Anderson as the like
Cultural icon.
cultural icon. Yeah, more so than like as seeing in anything. Like I can't remember at least seeing her in anything. Yeah.
All right, so I'm rooting for her. I want her to because they're saying she's in a bit of a renaissance. I do think she was treated unfairly by
Was she
the
at
media.
that last Showgirl movie? That
Yeah,
was last
and
was that last year? Yeah, that was recent.
yeah, and I didn't love it. Nicole
Yeah.
warned me. She said, I think she made some interesting acting choices. I don't know if they were entirely her or the director. And so I just want to reserve judgment and I hope she knocks it out of the park. Because I watched her documentary. Oh, I forget what it's called. Maybe just like Being Pamela or something simple like
Right,
that.
right.
It aired, it might be 2 years old now on Netflix. It came out long before the last Showgirl. And she is just so endearing. And so she seems so down to earth and so wonderful. And I'm like, I'm rooting for you, Pamela. Not that she
Yeah, I
is
can't.
like
I'm
me,
like
a nobody, but
I'm looking up her filmography, and I don't see anything that jumps out that I've seen her in.
I get the sense, and again, this is based on her, like her narrative, right? Like what she's putting out. But it's evident that she was mistreated by the media, kind of played off as like a dumb blonde, whatever. Um, and then she was put in a movie. The movie absolutely tanked. The movie was supposed to be like her opportunity
Yes,
to like
this I know about from of that. It was even in that TV show that was about the sex tape
right.
scandal. Because they kind of touched upon this that she had this
Yeah.
big movie that was supposed to be a big break, but it didn't really come to fruition. But I heard, at least from my research in that, because I was curious just about it, I heard there was a lot of issues with like the writing and like there was a more serious, like a
That's the
bunch of
thing.
serious scenes for her, but they
Yeah.
were all like cut out.
She
And
thought
yeah,
that it was going to be very much like Marilyn Monroe, that,
right, right,
they're trying to break out as a serious quote unquote actress and then being completely pigeonholed holded by the industry. And essentially the movie, I don't want to like, again, this is like her telling. So I don't know. I don't know all of the cultural history around this movie, but essentially they dumb down the movie and it became kind of like a sexploitation movie almost in its essence, and that like totally tanked her career. Like everyone was like they're like, well, she's not a serious actress. So
yeah,
all that to say, I was not super impressed by her in the last American Showgirl, the last Showgirl. I'm rooting for her 100%. I'm hoping it was just a case of bad writing and bad directing because I don't think anyone in the cast particularly shone or were
mm,
bright stars in that movie. And I know like it had like Brenda Song and the girl from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Jamie Lee Curtis. It had like a fairly, well-rounded cast, and none of them were like particularly amazing in that movie. So all that to say, I hope Pamela Anderson, this is like her start to being in a, the second half of her career, or maybe the first half of her career, where she's considered a serious actress who gets good roles and not
yeah,
just, the
yeah.
dumb blonde stuff. That's not fair to her. So you'll
Um,
see this. You're a big fan of the franchise.
I mean, I'm skeptical about this movie, but I'm gonna watch this trailer. But I was a big fan of the franchise, so
Liam
I'll watch
Neeson,
the trailer.
Liam Neeson, and I know this wasn't your plan on to completely derail the show. Um, he doesn't strike me. I don't really recall that he's a comedic actor.
He isn't, but he was very. He's so this is also, it's not directed by him, but Seth MacFarlane's the producer,
Right.
and Seth MacFarlane has, in all his live action movies that he's done, because he's the Family Guy, right?
Yeah.
So he's done the Ted movies, Million Ways to Die in the West, and there was another one that he did. He gets a Liam Neeson cameo out of every single one.
Hmm.
And Liam Neeson has this really funny scene in Ted 2 where he tries to buy some tricks from the cereal tricks from the thing, and he's obsessed with the fact that it says tricks are for kids, and he
Right.
doesn't want to get in trouble. So he's asking if he's going to be followed home, and he's doing like his limits, and he's really funny. Like the dry humor works for him. He's very
And
very funny
that is
and
Naked
dry.
Gun.
Yeah, so I feel like for him it's like I think he can do the dry sense of humor because I think he's done it in Seth MacFarlane movies. He was the villain in A Million Ways to Die in the West, where he plays an Irish cowboy. So there's all these like things where they just do these little things, and he's very dry with his humor, and it works. So I like Seth MacFarlane. I think that combo of him and Liam Neeson has worked out well. This is the first time he's like leading in a comedy that Seth MacFarlane's involved in, but I'm skeptical because of these remakes, but I'm going to watch the trailer and I'm going to let everyone know what I think.
Yeah. All right. So now, with that little segue, are you ready to review your movie? Speaking of sort of random, random things.
You know what's funny? I was about to review my movie, but there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. This is what happens when we miss episodes.
I know we have so much to talk about.
Dakota Johnson's been making people angry during her press circuit for her most recent movie, because she's teamed up, of course, with Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal in a new rom-com, I guess, that's on Netflix.
Allegedly, the rom-com that will relaunch rom-coms. They say that about every rom-com in the last 5 years.
A rom-com that like breaks some sort of convention that I don't care about.
They always say that, Mike. Yeah. They always say it's breaking conventions.
But she's making the Marvel community pretty upset.
Oh,
because she's been she does her sort of dry thing, but she's been kind of, people are accusing her of playing dumb when like questions get asked, because she's been teamed up with Chris Evans a lot in interviews.
Sure.
And he gets asked Marvel questions. So he was asked about Robert Downey Jr. returning as a villain, and she was like, "What? You can do that? He's a villain now? What?" And then there was another apparently incident where someone asked him like, "Oh, have you been asked about Steve Rogers a lot, Captain America?" And he was like, "Actually, no, like people have not been asking me that much about it." And she's like, "Who's Steve Rogers?" And that's been angering a lot of things. Like people have been like, "What are you doing?"
I feel like that's not an act.
Like, that's my thing. I'm like, I think she legitimately doesn't know.
She's kind of weird.
People are,
she's probably like, "What? You can do that? I can totally forget being in Black Widow."
That's kind of what I wanted to bring up. I bet you that comment was genuine, where she got an idea of being like, "Wait a minute, can I come back as a villain?
Yeah, thank God.
Can I still salvage this?" Because everybody wants to be part of Marvel, and she was, of course, in Madam Web. And ever since Madam Web, we've heard that Sydney Sweeney's been desperately trying to get into real Marvel.
Poor Sydney.
She's been making pitches all the time to Kevin Feige, and he's having none of it. And
he's kind of dumb though for not, because she has such a
absolutely ridiculous move.
She's of such a moment that it's like, even if you don't think she's that great of an actress, do you know how many people are going to go see the movie just because she's in it?
Give her the right director, and they'll pull the right things. Like that's what you do, right? Like you just have to trust that a director is going to be able to work with her. She was not terrible and immaculate. The movie was not great, but her performance is not terrible. So
you liked her in that comedy with Glenn Powell.
Oh, that was a great movie. Yeah, no, she was excellent in that movie. But I think comedy is more her thing, though.
Right.
She's done a lot of it. I think comedy, comes more naturally to her. That would be my guess. Again, that's seeing these two movies.
Right.
Right. Like I don't have anything else to compare.
Euphoria.
Euphoria. Yeah, it's not even. Euphoria is it's a whole mess. They're bringing that back too. They're doing another season of that. All these people are way older than high school students now. I don't know what they're going to do.
They all have careers.
I can't. I don't think I could watch it. Like the second season was just too much for me.
Euphoria started and I kind of, it gained speed, or I became popular past it was already popular and already, I guess, a season in. And then when I heard about it, Mike, I'm like, I don't need to watch teens behaving badly. I'm of an age. I don't need it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I'll leave that
absolutely
to a
fair.
younger crowd.
I could not agree more. Okay, well, I'm gonna get to my movie review of this week, which
Yeah.
was The Accountant 2, or The Accountant Squared, which is how it seems to be listed.
Right up your parents'
Um,
alley.
yeah, exactly. They'll probably see this
I think
and
it's
go,
the first one.
"Oh, it's the first one."
Mike, this did happen to me. My bodyguard's assassin, or my bodyguard's wife's assassin, where I watched it and thought, wow, this would make
Oh yeah,
this
I
is a good, I really loved this movie. I wonder, they should make a sequel. And then I found out I watched the sequel.
yeah. You brought this up on the show when you reviewed it,
Yeah.
because you reviewed it and then
Oops.
you revealed that you didn't know it was a sequel.
But the
Um,
title was misleading. Like
that's
it
right.
was
The title
it
was
was a
misleading.
play on the
That's right.
first movie's title, but it wasn't like it didn't have chapter 2 right in the name. So I didn't pull a full Mike's Parents, but I was pretty close.
This movie
Ben
would be
Affleck?
Ben Affleck would be impossible to enjoy if you don't remember the first one,
Which was your experience?
which was my experience. Because I thought, oh yeah, The Accountant. I remember it's about literally an accountant who is also an assassin. Um, and then I watched this movie and went, I don't know what's going on. So in this particular movie, it is about the same guy. So Ben Affleck returns as this accountant, and it's about him teaming up with his brother for this basically like really convoluted plot that I definitely didn't remember what was going on in the movie, so I had a hard time. I don't even know if his brother was in the first movie. Like, I don't know if this is the first time we've met this character, or if we have met this character before, or been mentioned, or what have you. This movie gets really lost in plot, where it over complicates what should have been really simple. Go to here and do this thing is what this movie should have been. And there was at least, I don't know if it was me or if it was the movie, but there were at least 2 times where I thought, I have no idea how they made that leap. And I don't know why we're here. That happened at least twice.
Isn't it kind of a shoot 'em up movie?
Yeah, kind of. I would describe this movie as an action adventure, but the action is pretty well used and spread out. This is not like a dumb action movie where there's action sequences
Right.
for no reason. Every action sequence not only is actually quite well done, it's a really, really well shot movie. The action sequences are used well, and this movie is really about the relationship of these two brothers. Like
Who plays the brother?
John Barenthal, so from The Walking Dead, he's the Punisher.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
Yeah.
been in a
Yeah.
ton of things. He's also having a day. So he plays the brother, and it's really the two of them that this movie revolves around, like this kind of relationship between them. Because Ben Affleck's character, I don't know specifically like if he's on the spectrum or what have you, but he's like super hyper focused and like really meticulous about
Like Rain Man? Like, are you
yeah,
like
yeah,
kind
like
of like
kind of
that?
not to that extent. Like if he's on the spectrum, he's somewhere like else, like kind of thing. But
Okay.
where he's like, how he's like, okay, he's super focused,
Got it.
super organized,
Yeah.
and like kind of has these little ticks that he
Right.
has to do that are important. So like he's kind of like that. Whereas the brother is more what you would think of when you see an assassin, like a little bit more like
Edgy.
clearly experienced, edgy. Uh, very much John Barenthal is very much doing his John Barenthal thing. If you've seen him in a movie, he's doing the same thing, and he does it well. What he does well. So it actually makes for a really interesting combination of how they interact with each other, how kind of Ben Affleck's character's hyper-focused brain helps them out of problems when John Barenthal sort of like shoot 'em up attitude doesn't work, and then vice versa, where you can't hesitate and you have to make quick decisions. So there's a really good like dynamic there. And when the movie was focusing on that, it was quite surprising how good it was. Like
Hmm.
I thought some of the brother dynamics were really well done. These two characters are really interesting. You are very much following these two around. Like this is a star vehicle for these two people. Everyone else in the movies are like super irrelevant. It's just these two. And yeah, they both do a really good job. And focusing on that element is where the movie's
When
strength
did the
really is.
first Accountant come out?
I gotta say, like 10 or 15 years. I don't
Okay, come
I
on.
don't know,
Does Ben
but
Affleck need money from his divorce with J-Lo?
that's what I think. Okay, it was 2016, so 9 years ago. 2016.
That's long in the realm of the culture we live in, Mike. That might
Yeah.
as well be 2
This
decades.
this screamed I need some money.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go back and do this. And at the end of the day, I don't remember the first accountant movie. So I honestly don't know what it was like. But this movie kind of makes me think of, okay, yes, it's an action adventure movie, but at least whoever was behind it, whether it's the director or the writer or a combo, they made an effort to make it more of a film and a movie,
Right.
and to have heart in it, and to really connect these two people, and to get you to care about the characters. So that did elevate it a bit for me. Like, to me, this would have been 100% an Airplane it,
Sure.
where it's just like you don't really know what's going on if you hadn't seen it before. Whatever, some of the action sequences are well shot, well done, fun, and then you turn the movie off and forget about it. I think for me, this moved up to a stream it, because it was interesting enough that I bet if I had seen the first movie and watched them back to back, this would be like a nice
The chemistry
second
between the
one.
two
Yeah.
actors, right?
Worked really well. Yes, they were both very, very good. Everything kind of worked between them. It was, well done, well directed, well written. So yeah, I'm actually going to give it a stream it, which is surprising, because this kind of movie for me is definitely normally an Airplane it, but I think they just did that little thing that I like, where they said we're gonna try to do something with this.
We're going to treat this
Um,
movie seriously, even though the
yeah,
concept is a little silly. I think
yeah.
I am not against movies that, like, sequels that don't do, what's the word, exposition. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
against that. I hate these movies we watch where it's like 30 minutes of exposition and it's like, okay, I got it. But Mike, the caveat being, if you're going to do that, the movies have to be released like within 2 years of each other.
Or give us something
Like
small to
recent,
just
it's got to be in
reset
recent
the.
memory.
Yeah,
You
I
can't
agree.
treat a movie from 9 years ago as if I saw it last summer.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyways,
I definitely agree. So there you go. That's my review for The Accountant 2. It's a stream it.
I braved leaving my house, Mike, something that I do very rarely, to go to the movies. And I was a very selfish wife, and I said, it's Father's Day, take me to the movies,
Of course.
Dan. Well, I did make him a father by giving him a child, so if anything, it's really my day too. But we're not here to argue the politics of Father's Day.
There's a
I'm
lot to unpack there.
I'm kidding. Anyway, so all kidding aside, I said, "Do you want to go see?" We were either going to go see Friendship, which stars the guy from I Think You Should Leave Now. Obviously, if people have listened to the show, I probably talk about that show more than I talk about The Crow now, Mike. Like, huge in this household. Even though Mike, I don't actually think it's called I Think You Should Leave Now. I think it's just I Think You Should
I
Leave.
think you should leave.
But
Yeah.
Dan and I call it I Think You Should Leave Now. I think that is a more accurate name. Anyways, huge show for us. We love it. We think the writer and the star of that show is endlessly funny. So anyways, he's starring in a new movie with, to me this is weird, but maybe not. The guy from Ant-Man,
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. So the two of them, I think it's like a pretty basic setup in that one of them befriends the other, and it's like the comedy of adult friendships, but like one of them's like super weird. So anyways, so we were gonna see that, or Wes Anderson's new movie, The Phoenician Scheme. So based on timing, I was leaning towards the Wes Anderson movie, obviously, and then based on timing, that movie worked out better for us. So we ended up seeing the Wes Anderson movie. We got some popcorn. I did not see Wendy, but we did go to the screening room downtown Kingston, and I got a baseball cap. Anyways, so this movie, if people haven't seen a lot of promo for it, or if they're like Mike and didn't know this movie was coming out, I don't think Wes Anderson needs an introduction, but he's one of our auteurs that are currently working in cinema. These directors that have a very developed and sense of style. Like it's like people can watch a Christopher Nolan movie and they know it's a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yes.
You watch a Wes Anderson movie, you know it's a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
And he's known kind of for this like very complex world building in the sense of like super stylized, lots of dioramas, like his coloring he uses is very distinct. The writing is very distinct. He often writes with Roman Coppola of the Coppola family. And he's known for a kind of extended cast that often they're actors that you'll recognize. So this movie is no different. There's, Bryan Cranston's in this movie. The guy that I don't like from
Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Katie's gonna kill me when I Tom, that guy I hate.
Yeah,
Tom
of course.
Hanks.
Tom.
The lead is, oh my goodness, Benedicto del Toro.
Oh, Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro. He has, I believe, has been in a Wes Anderson movie, but he's never starred. So he was
Right.
the star of this movie. And essentially the premise of this, it's a comedy caper. I would say it Wes Anderson at his best is when he really leans into comedy. And this movie to me was like, I definitely like belly laughed a couple times while watching this movie. Dan liked to point out that I belly laughed when no one else in the theater laughed, which I often do. But I think that just no one has as good a sense of humor as I do, Mike. Anyways, so the premise of this movie is that his name's Zaza. He's like a magnet. It's the post-war period. It's the 1950s. He's amassed a huge fortune from probably, not so legal dealings. And people have multiple times tried to assassinate him because he has dealings in the world market. And essentially we have kind of this like secret cabal of industrialists who are trying to kill/subvert his great plan. And then what he's trying to do is he's trying to scramble to put his life's work in place, with the help of his daughter, who happens to be a novitiate at a nun, in a religious order, a nun. He's trying to he's like, I'm gonna be dead soon. It's very obvious. They're gonna assassinate me. I want to put this whole my life's work in place, and I want you to take care of it. So the movie is essentially a caper of him, his daughter, and then Michael Cera is one of the characters. He plays kind of a tutor/assistant, and the ragtag assortment of people that he comes into contact with, trying to get this caper set, I guess you could say. Caper in the sense of like this scheme, right? Like
Sure.
sometimes when you hear caper, you think it's like a movie where they're like trying to steal something, or there's like it's espionage.
Sure.
There is espionage, it's industrial espionage. But anyways, so the comedy comes from them trying to, get this plan that in no way, shape, or form is probably going to work out. They're trying to make it work, right? So,
Right.
I love, longtime listeners of the show will know I love Wes Anderson. He's probably my favorite director working, which maybe is a little cliche or basic of me. I don't know. But if I had to live in any director's world, it certainly would be in a Wes Anderson movie. A lot of people now, Mike, a lot of time especially since Moonrise Kingdom. So there's been Moonrise Kingdom, I think, the Grand Budapest Hotel, Isle of Dogs, even. There's been a couple movies, but since Moonrise Kingdom, what I've seen with the reviews is that they're like, oh, the movie was good despite Wes Anderson being at his most Wes Anderson.
I've heard that so many times. The most Wes Anderson. Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, that to me is so annoying because like when I go to a Wes Anderson movie, I go because I know it's going to be a Wes Anderson movie. Just like when you go to a Christopher Nolan movie, you're hoping it's going to be a Christopher Nolan movie.
Well, that's why you go,
right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you don't like that he uses dioramas? Okay, don't go to his movies then. Like, I don't. It was too stylized. It was style over substance. What does that even mean? Like, I don't, it just bothers me because I think it's like, it's kind of how you feel about when people like harp on Marvel movies. Like, oh, like Marvels are just superhero movies. I kind of feel like it's become that about Wes Anderson. Like, Wes Anderson got a bigger budget and he went full Wes Anderson in this one. Duh. If he has the budget, he's going to try to realize his vision to completion. So it is going to be more stylized.
That's right.
Like, come on.
Of course, like that makes sense.
Yeah. So I really don't understand those reviews where they're like, it was really Wes Anderson-y. Okay. So I can understand, like, I understand if it's like, I do understand the style over substance, like when it's like just a visual feast, but like not a good story. I kind of felt that way about the French Dispatch, Mike. I didn't love the French Dispatch, like full acknowledgement. And I didn't see Asteroid City, mostly because of it came out at a time like postpartum where like I don't think like I was watching a ton of movies, and I think you reviewed it, so I missed it. Dan goes, I liked Asteroid City. I'm like, when did you watch it? He went, oh, didn't we watch it together? I said, no, you must have watched it at nighttime when I was with the baby, or maybe he's confusing the movie. But you liked Asteroid City.
I did. It was good. It was a good. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't really understand. It's also when people are like, they eat a chocolate cake and they're like, it's too rich. What? I've never met a chocolate cake that's too rich for me. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, why are you eating it?
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I feel about a Wes Anderson. Oh, it was too Wes Anderson-y. Okay, well then don't. That movie's not for you. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it is. It's hyper stylized. Like it's not happening in the real world. Even his movies that are like most grounded, like The Royal Tenenbaums, Rushmore, which are more or less happening in the real world. The characters they don't act like normal people, you know. They've never acted like normal. His direction and his writing has never been like your next door neighbor. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's always been kind of elevated and fantastic and like quirky and weird. So obviously, you know, I'm a huge fan. So I read those reviews and I'm like, I just don't get it. Like it's a critique the story writing. Fine. Critique direction. But for it to be like, it was too stylized, but that's what he does. Yeah. Those are his movies.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me. There were my only critique of this movie. So I obviously, you know, you could probably tell from my review or my distaste for the negative reviews. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I thought it was very entertaining. I asked a woman, who was waiting in line for the washroom. I said, what did you think of the movie? Because sometimes I like to do that if I know they've seen the movie that I saw. And she said, I have 2 words for you. Not boring. And then she went on to say, a little silly. But that is those are Wes Anderson movies.
That's Wes Anderson. Yeah.
They are a little silly.
I mean, what's again, like we just said, that's what you're going to get, right? Like you get exactly what you expect, that you're going because in theory you're a fan of this person's movies. Like you know what you're going to get.
Right. So very quickly, I realize now that we're almost at an hour, Mike. We're making up for lost time. So my one critique, and I don't know if this is a sound mixing problem, the fact that I listened to music way too loud out of earbuds during my teens into my 20s. I don't know. There were certain parts in the movie where I couldn't quite catch the dialogue. Like I would have benefited from watching the movie with subtitles. And again, we watch everything with subtitles now, so I don't know if it's just like a learned habit. I don't know if it was a problem with the sound mixing or the sound levels at the theater, but there were times where I didn't quite catch the dialogue. The characters talked fast. Some of them had accents. I don't know. That might have been a me problem. I don't want to immediately say that's a Wes Anderson problem. It might have been a me problem. But overall, to me, this was definitely a see it for sure. Again, there's so few movies, Mike, that you see now that are like fully immersive storytelling that's unique and fun and weird.
True. It's true. Yeah. Well, yeah, we've got time to do our draw here.
Okay.
So let's get the toque out.
Here we go.
And let's draw some movies. Here we go. Shake that up. All right. Movie number 1. Wildlife 2018. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, neither do I.
Wildlife 2018. So that's the first one. And the second one is that's blank. So that doesn't help. It's a blank. It's a blank. Was that like a choose your own adventure kind of?
That was very anticlimactic.
Yeah. All right. So second movie is Wish I Was Here. So we've got Wildlife and Wish I Was Here.
What year is that one?
There's no year attached to this one. I believe, though, this is the Zach Braff 2014 film. Yeah. Wish I Was Here with Zach Braff and Kate Hudson. And then Wildlife 2018.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh, Wildlife 2018. That's got, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Do love him.
So there you go. Wildlife 2018. It looks like it's on Amazon Prime. And Wish I Was Here looks like it's rentable on YouTube for $4.
Okay.
So there you go. So if people want to watch along with us, that is kind of how this works. We're going to obviously do this, but you should listeners, you should watch along. You should see what you think of the movie and see if you can find any comparables. That's what's fun. Can we compare these two very different movies probably together? So Wildlife 2018, Wish I Was Here are our two movies from a hat, as we will review those next week. So yeah, we're back. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and you'll hear from us next week.
Go see some movies.
Thank you for listening to You Had Me at Skip It, a Soul One Arts Inc. podcast. This podcast is produced by Mike Shepard and Austin Spinner Summer. It is a project of Soul One Arts Inc. To learn more about Soul One and all the great work that Soul One is doing in the arts community, especially in film, theater, and other performing arts, visit soul1arts.ca. You can contribute to this podcast by visiting soul1arts.ca and going to the podcast tab. You'll find all the information on You Have Me at Skip It and how you can get your questions read on air each week. Thank you again for listening.